In MobileMill, you can view your project between two camera types. These are perspective and orthographic. A perspective view of your project allows you to see the depth of your project, so objects you place further away from the camera look smaller. As you can see, perspective gives you a more three-dimensional view of your project, and you can zoom in and out in the designer window like this using the scroll on your mouse. If you want to view your project in an orthographic perspective, you need to click on the camera component in your project window and go over to the Properties window, selecting True next to Orthographic under the Orthographic header. In an orthographic view of your project, there is more focus on the X and Y of objects of your project. This is because your project is projected as a flat scene in front of you, like this. Z can still make a difference in your orthographic view, but not to size perspective. As you can see, there is a green box around the objects of my project. This represents the managed orthographic perspective ratio and is related to the aspect ratio you have set. This helps with scaling to different screen sizes, as you can see when I adjust the size of the designer window. Everything inside the green box stays in view because no matter what is done to the size of the screen, if your project is managed to the aspect ratio, it will view everything inside the green box. This means that anything you place inside the box will never be hidden, no matter what the screen orientation, size or ratio is, etc. As you can see, when I change my ratio, the green box changes shape. If you did want to alter your project for different view targets, you can then go to View Targets at the top of the screen and select your view target from the drop-down list under Orthographic, like this. You have Review Target Inheritance for orthographic camera as you would normally see it for a perspective camera. As you can see, each ratio is repeated twice for either a landscape or portrait view. When you change the ratio, it changes the green box on the screen. It should be noted that Orthographic does not talk about resolution, which is a useful feature. You can't zoom when you are using the orthographic camera, but you can test with perspective view in a controller. In this controller, we can ensure we have perspective camera selected, and you will then be able to see that you can use the perspective camera to zoom in and out. The orthographic camera view does give you a good idea of how the finished project will look, but you can at any point go back to perspective camera to zoom in and out. At any time during your project, you can go to the top of the designer window and select where it says perspective camera and change that to project camera. If the project camera is a perspective camera, there will be no real change, but if your project camera has been set up as an orthographic camera, it will show the component as if it were directly viewed by the project camera. Please note that this setting makes no difference in the main component, as the created camera will override this setting.